Uh, Dylan S. says, I have to retake an engineering class year. How do I deal with what I see as failure? I mean, it's all, but yeah, so it is like, so much of life is in how you construct the story, how you construct the story of yourself, how you construct not all of life, to be clear, because a lot of it is about circumstances that are wildly beyond your control, power structures that are much larger than you, luck that you have absolutely no say in, et cetera, et cetera. But some of life is about how you like imagine the story. And one way of imagining that story is like, oh man, I failed this engineering class and now I have to take it again. Another way is the like Bill Gates way of, Bill Gates always says that he learned much more from his failures than from his successes. And I have also found that to be true. Failure is a lot more painful, certainly, than success, but it is also, I learned very little from success because all success makes you think is like, oh, I can do this. And that's a good feeling to have, but it also is a little bit of an inaccurate feeling. I think it like creates a little bit of inaccuracy within your brain about who you are and your place in the world and all that. So I think the way to look at it is like, I'm lucky to have a second chance to take this class. A lot of people don't get that second chance. And when I get this done, and I am going to get it done, I'm going to come out on the other side of it a stronger student and eventually a better, better at my job because of this experience, because I took the time to relearn this material and prove that I knew it. I know that's really hard functionally to do, but that would be my recommendation. For the record, I am terrible at doing that in my own life, but I do try, but a lot of times I just feel like my failures are failures. And I've been very blessed and really lucky as well, but I still feel sometimes like, yeah, I am still familiar with that feeling. I'll tell you a story at the end of this live show about that though. Evan says, how do you deal with the feeling of what could have been? Oh, Evan, how do you deal with the feeling of what could have been? It's the worst. It's the feeling. It's the primary feeling of adulthood, like, so the whole cool thing about being like, I don't know, say 16 to 22 or something. It depends on the person, but for me, it was like 16 to 22. The whole cool thing about being 16 to 22, or one of the cool things about it, was also one of the terrible things about it, which was I had this awareness that I might be anything. Like I might become anything. Like I might have any life. And in a way, like that openness, that possibility, that sort of infiniteness of that possibility felt like I got to have, or at least like imagine having every life. And then you get older and you start to realize like, oh, I'm just having this one life and this is probably the only one I'm going to have. And then at a certain point you realize like for me, it was like, I realized I'm not going back to divinity school. I went to, I was enrolled at the University of Chicago Divinity School and I thought I might become a minister. And then slowly I realized, like by the time I was 27, I was like, I'm not going to go back to divinity school. I'm not going to become an Episcopal priest. And in addition to that, I'm probably not going to become a doctor. Probably not going to become a lawyer. I'm probably not going to become an engineer like Dylan. I'm probably, and the things that you're not going to do start to increase dramatically. Whereas the things that you are going to do, it starts to look like, oh my God, I'm just going to have this one life. And it will probably feel like you're going to have this one little life. And that can be very distressing. And even though I know I've had a really like just a ton of luck in my life and gotten to do really interesting, fulfilling work, I know that I do know that feeling. I guess the response I have to what could have been is like what could still be, because there is a lot that could still be. There's so much, there are of course, horrors and terrors awaiting all of us, but there are also great, joys awaiting us. This is actually, I think, what my video is going to be about tomorrow. Like, there's great opportunities. There's, you know, who knows what's in your future? Who knows what love stories are in your future, and what stories of triumph and unexpected good fortune are in your future? Like, we don't know. And the whole, like, you only know with the benefit of perspective, which you can't have when you're in the middle of it. I think that's especially what made, for me, like, my 20s so difficult, was that I didn't have the kind of, like, stability of adulthood, which, you know, is just like one life, but also there's a real fulfillment, for me at least, in that stability of having, you know, one life that's fairly consistent with a fairly consistent cast of characters. But also I was, you know, overwhelmed by that feeling of what could have been, especially because of the, like, I was in a couple of relationships that I thought were going to end in marriage that didn't. And looking back, like, thank God, that worked out just fine for everybody. But at the time, you know, you can't see that. And so that's the other thing I would say, is that you can't know without the benefit of hindsight. So I mean, I know that this is kind of lame advice, but it is also the only advice I know, really, which is just to keep going. To quote Dory, nope, Nemo, nope, Dory, just keep swimming. Like, I actually think that is a pretty, like, strong worldview in the end. I've pretty much come around to just keep swimming.